Okay, so now we're gonna open the closed guard right into the basic stack. Again, kind of the origins of guard passing in jiu-jitsu. So we're gonna start to build our understanding of the stack pass here and start to add some details, think about what our objectives are, and then we're throughout the next set of techniques, we're gonna start to build some focus on specific aspects of the stack. So again, our big picture here with the stack pass is we're putting our opponent in a very uncomfortable position. We want this to feel like a pin. We don't want our opponent to have an out. We don't even want to let them kind of give us a guard pass if we don't want to take the guard pass already, right? We don't want to let our opponent roll. So there's a lot of variables that we have to tune to keep our opponent stuck in the stack position. So we're going to start to introduce that and just show kind of the origins of the stack pass and the basic stack. So, however, we're going to open the guard. This time we're going to not have this hand control, which changes some of the variables. I could have this arm controlled or just, here. I'm going to stand, open. When my opponent goes to place this foot on my hip, I'm going to lock that space. If he now tries to put the other foot on my hip, I'm going to lock that space too. My hands, my first choice would be double lapels. Okay. My knees are crowding, my forearms are stacked on top of my arms. Whatever side he tries to put a knee or a foot on my body, I'm going to bring my head to that side. So as I'm in this kind of a horse stance, for example, if Hunter tries to put that foot on me, I'm going to bring my head over there and kind of solidify that wall. If he goes to the other side, same thing. Okay. Now, as we're reading kind of what our opponent's trying to do here, we realize that every time he tries to put a foot on us, he's making that side light. And we're always right? Every point of connection that I have with my opponent is a sensor, and I'm reading what his weight is doing. So as he tries to bring this foot on me, and I realize that he's making that side light, I'm going to drop, okay, put that leg over my shoulder. His knee is always on the ear side of my shoulder. That ensures that it's going to be my body against his leg and not his leg versus my arm. This side, okay, our arm and leg are connected. So I have a couple of options here. I could drive this knee forward, which will help me kind of solidify my grip, okay? And by driving this knee down a little bit with my knee and my shin, I'm making this leg even lighter. Okay, what's the issue with that? And that's something that I use every day in passing, is this idea of driving this knee down to help find my grip and lock the position. The issue is that the more my shoulders deviate from parallel with my opponent's shoulders, the weaker this connection between my elbow and my leg becomes. So again, it's something that we're going to use all the time, but we have to understand the inherent danger there. Is that if I'm not square here, and a lot of times when we drive this down, we kind of are angling our body, my opponent can grip either my sleeve or behind my tricep, and he can shoot his hip up, and his hip will separate my elbow and my knee. Okay, so you can go back. So if we are going to be using this knee, we want to focus on putting our shoulders square. Okay, if I keep my shoulders square, can you go ahead and shoot that? No way, his hip separates my elbow and my knee now. But the second that I start coming here and the shoulders are turned, I give my opponent an opportunity to shoot the triangle. That's a triangle a lot of times we can still stack out of, but you don't want to risk it, especially someone who's, like Hunter is good at that triangle position. So instead, what I prefer is to almost sit down here. So I'm focusing more than anything on shoulders vertical. I'll crowd my opponent and use that shoulders parallel, as long as I can keep my shoulders parallel. To start, we're going to look for a deep grip, thumb inside, okay, and then we're looking for an opportunity to sneak this hand out. So this hand can come out here or can come out here, regardless of however we can bring this hand outside the legs. So let's say I can swim the hand out here. Now we have to understand the stack is like a pin. like a pinning position in wrestling. So I want to keep his shoulders flat. I want to not let him shoulder walk away, and then I want to prop his hips up using one of my legs. So we're always going to have a prop leg, okay, to keep my opponent's hips up high over his shoulders, but not so high that they roll, not so low to give them a lot of power in their legs. So in this position here, okay, my shoulders stay square. Once my hand is free, so there's no triangle danger, now I can angle my shoulder as much as I see fit to find that pinning position. Okay, so I'm going to put this hand, if I have a choice, center line of his body on the pants. I'm going to start to lift, put my head over my opponent's head, closing my elbows, and I'm going to prop his hip up on my thigh here. Using our legs, okay, is going to be one of the most important aspects, and I think one of the most undervalued aspects of passing with stacks. Okay, so most of what we're doing, pretty much all of what we're doing, is always going to have a component of how are our legs controlling and managing his hip, either propping it up or boxing it out and locking our opponent. So I'm trying to keep him stacked without giving him an angle to roll and without giving him the ability to bring his hip back down where his legs get strong again. My head stays over his head, elbows close. If I bring my foot to this angle, for example, start to walk perpendicular, he's starting to get strong again. He can bounce me and I have no base to that angle. Okay, one more time. Closing that elbow here. Very much the same positioning as if were in a leg drag position. As we're going to see, there's a very blurry line between a stack passing and a leg drag. Now, head stays over my opponent's head. I'm going to release the weight that's in this knee, okay, by stretching this leg. Now my belly drives forward, head stays over his head, elbows close, pushing my chest and shoulders clear. Now I can cover my opponent, or I can switch to under the control and complete the pass. So again, this is the kind of the stack where everything gets started, right? When I think of pressure passes where I'm pinning my opponent and making him suffer, making him uncomfortable throughout the process, for me, that's stack and half guard. Okay, so the last DVD we really focused on the half guard. This DVD we're going to focus more on the stack. Okay, but we're going to look at some ways that those two positions intersect. On the way in and on the way out of those pressure passes, we have folding passes and we have leg drags. Okay, so when we're a little bit more mobile, we can move to folding pass and leg drag, entering with the objective of entering to half guard, entering to stack pass positions, and then as we lose these positions, we can sometimes apply folding passes and leg drags too. So again, I want us to just be thinking big picture here. So I'm going to go stand and open the guard. This time maybe I was able to get his hip locked, so I can push my legs back. He goes to put that foot on my hip. I block it, I keep it out. He goes to put the other foot, I chase it. Okay, this grip is fine too, where I have the hip here. I like to be on two lapels whenever I can be, when I'm in this kind of horse stance position. Okay, I can also be on 1 and 1, or even here if I get pushed out, I think as we covered in the first pressure passing DVD. So now I'm following my opponent, I'm thinking, like looking for a pathway. He doesn't really have a guard here, because he doesn't have any framing leverage with his legs, right? He can't put I'm not letting him put his feet or his knees on my body. And as we follow him around in this position, we're going to find a moment where he tries to put a foot on us. As he does, he makes that leg light, and he feeds the grip. Okay. Now I can just drive this knee forward, as long as I keep my shoulders square to him and take the leg out, or I can sit back, okay, and be a little bit more over the mat if I feel danger from my opponent bouncing me around, for example, or I feel he has kind of tighter hips, or he's very strong in his core. So elbows close, heads in the same line, shoulders are parallel. As I can, I'm going to free my arm. Now I drive my head over his head. That will start to lift the hip. The hand can assist, and I'm going to now use my foot my leg to lock him to the elevation I feel like I need. Again, too much here from this set of controls and I'll force him to roll. Too little and he's too strong. So I want to keep him crunched. Head stays over the head. Now I'm going to close my elbows, release the weight in the leg where my knee's on the mat by extending that leg. I'm on my toes. Close the elbows, no rush. Start to drive that belly forward. And wipe that leg off like we have a wall, just pressing forward. Now I can either cover the head or I can switch and pummel the arm.